And what if someone came back from the dead with a message capable of changing the future of the world? What would we do with such a revelation? Ignore it or listen to it? Today we are going to discover the incredible story of Maria, a young woman of 19 years who experienced something out of the ordinary. She claims to have returned from the beyond with a terrifying message, a warning about the future of humanity. But that is not all she saw. It was related to an important event that will occur in March. And among the figures that appeared in her visions, one name resounds insistently: Donald Trump. What did she discover? Her testimony could change everything. Stay with us until the end to understand the meaning of this shocking message. Before we begin, tell us, do you believe in near-death experiences, and from where do you view us? Leave your answer in the comments, subscribe, give a like, and get ready for a revelation that could call everything into question. Now let's listen to Maria tell us in her own words what she experienced on the other side. My name is Maria. I am 19 years old, and I live in France. My life before what happened to me was completely normal. I studied journalism, was passionate about writing and discovering the world. My daily routine was marked by classes, assignments, outings with friends, and endless conversations about the future. I was never really religious. I grew up in a family where faith was present, but it was never imposed on me. For me, spirituality was something personal, a matter of beliefs that each person had to explore in their own way. I had heard about near-death experiences, but I saw them as hallucinations created by a brain in a state of anguish. To be honest, I did not really believe in them, and yet. A few days before my accident, something inside me changed. First, a persistent feeling began, the sensation of being watched. At first I did not pay much attention to it, but as the days passed, that impression became more oppressive. Sometimes I would abruptly turn around on the street, convinced that someone was following me, even though there was no one there. Then came strange dreams. Every night I saw a light in the distance, a bright yet unreachable light, and I heard a voice calling out to me, though I could not understand what it said. One night, I woke up startled with a phrase imprinted in my mind, as if someone had whispered it in my ear. Time is drawing near. I was unsettled by where this feeling was coming from and why I was having these dreams. What worried me most was an inexplicable uneasiness that settled within me. It was not physical pain, but a strange sensation, a heavy, invisible weight. I felt that something was going to happen. I could feel it, but I didn't know what. And then on the 14th of April, 2024, everything changed. That morning, everything seemed blurry. I felt tired and distracted, as if my body already knew what was about to occur. Yet I did nothing differently in my routine. I had breakfast, put on my jacket, and left my house like any other day. I did not know that it would be the last time I would see the world as I had always known it. I left as usual, walking down the street with my phone in hand, lost in my thoughts. The city was full of life, cars speeding by, pedestrians brushing past each other without a glance. Everything was normal, and yet I felt a weight on my chest, a sensation I could not explain. And then came the impact, a deafening noise, a blow of indescribable violence. My body was thrown into the air. A searing pain shot through every part of me, and then nothing. A complete silence. I wanted to move, but I couldn't. I tried to breathe, but the air no longer reached me. I heard people screaming around me, but their voices sounded distant, as if I were underwater. Then, a strange sensation took over. I was no longer there. I opened my eyes and saw my own body lying on the asphalt. I saw myself. It was impossible, and yet it was real. My face was expressionless, motionless, with a thin stream of blood slowly trickling down my chin. Around me, bystanders had stopped in panic. One man was frantically calling for help. A woman was crying while whispering something I couldn't understand, But I no longer felt anything, neither pain nor fear, only an absolute lightness. I was floating above my own body, as if I were no longer attached to it. It was a disturbing sensation, yet strangely peaceful. Then, an invisible force began to pull me. I tried to resist, to stay close to my body, but it was impossible. My spirit, or my soul, I am not sure what to call it, was dragged towards something unknown. The world around me faded away, and I found myself inside a luminous tunnel, an intense light that did not hurt my eyes, but completely enveloped me. There was neither up nor down, neither left nor right, only that endless passage that seemed to carry me to a place I couldn't see. Then I heard murmurs, soft, distant voices, incomprehensible as if souls were trying to speak to me. I wanted to answer, but no sound came from my mouth. I kept moving forward, or rather, I was being carried. And then I felt something I had never experienced before. Absolute peace, a sensation of love, of harmony, of total understanding of everything that exists, as if suddenly all my questions about life and death had an answer that I instinctively understood without needing words. But deep within that peace, there was something more, an immense gravity, as if something very important was about to happen. And then I saw it before me. The light intensified, becoming so radiant that for a moment I thought I would vanish within it. Then a silhouette appeared within that light, Jesus. I had never been very religious, but at that moment, I knew it was him. His face had an indescribable beauty, but what struck me most were his eyes, a deep gaze filled with infinite love, but also with immense sadness. He did not move his lips, and yet I heard his voice resonating directly inside me. Humanity is at a turning point. I wanted to speak, to ask him questions, but he continued. A crucial event is approaching, and a decision will determine the future. Then before my eyes, visions began to appear. I saw the earth, but it was not at peace. Natural catastrophes in a chain, hurricanes, gigantic fires, devastating earthquakes, conflicts erupting simultaneously, as if the world were on the brink of collapse. Then came another vision, a different one. A vast room, a secret meeting with world leaders sitting around a table, their faces serious, worried. At the center of that assembly, Donald Trump was holding a document in his hands. His gaze was inscrutable, and those around him, some seemed convinced, others doubted. In that instant, I understood that what they were about to decide would have enormous consequences for humanity. I heard the voice of Jesus resonating within me again. I wanted to ask a question, but suddenly everything began to tremble. The light faded, and I felt an immense force dragging me backward. I was falling faster and faster, a deafening noise, my breath cut off, and then darkness. I opened my eyes abruptly. I had returned to my surroundings, faces full of panic, a doctor checking my vital signs, a nurse speaking, though I could only catch fragments of words. My body felt heavy and in pain, but only one idea occupied my mind, one phrase that kept echoing over and over in my head without me even understanding. They must choose, and there is not much time. I spoke it aloud, even though I didn't fully understand why. When I opened my eyes again, everything was blurry. The sounds came muted, as if I were underwater. I heard voices around me, electronic beeps, worried murmurs. My body felt as if it weighed a ton. I blinked several times until I clearly saw the face of a nurse leaning over me. "Maria, can you hear me?" I tried to respond, but my throat was dry. I could only weakly nod, and then everything returned abruptly. Jesus, the visions, the message. A shiver uncontrollably ran down my body. It was real. It had not been a dream or a hallucination. But how do you explain something like that? I tried to speak, but the only phrase that came out was the one that kept repeating in my head. They must choose, and there is not much time. The nurse exchanged a look with the doctor. They seemed confused. Shortly after, my family arrived running. My mother collapsed in tears and hugged me tightly while my father maintained a grave expression. They had believed me to be dead. I had been unconscious for several minutes. The doctors thought that I had not finished that sentence, but I understood. I had been at the edge of death, and what I saw there was far more terrifying than death itself. As soon as I had enough strength to speak, I recounted what I had experienced. I explained the tunnel of light, the whispering voices, the presence of Jesus, and above all, the message he had given me. My mother, deeply moved, took my hand and said it was a miracle, a blessing. Yet not everyone reacted the same. My father tried to remain calm, but I clearly saw his skepticism. "You must have had a trauma, Maria. It's normal to have hallucinations in these situations," said my best friend, who, on the contrary, remained silent for a long time, then with a trembling voice simply asked, "And what exactly did he say to you?" It was then that I understood. Some people wanted to listen, others refused to. But I had no choice. I had to speak. Before this, I had never questioned much about death. I used to avoid thinking about it like most people. But now I was no longer afraid. I knew that there was something beyond this life, an indescribable place where everything was clear, where love and peace reigned. But I also knew that everything could change. The world was suspended on a fragile line, and if the wrong decision was made, then what I had seen would come to pass for days on end. I couldn't stop thinking about every word Jesus had uttered. Humanity is on the brink of a crucial choice. I saw those images of destruction, saw those leaders debating a key decision, and among them, Donald Trump. Why was he there? I understood that his role, like that of other leaders, would be decisive for the future of the world if they made the wrong decision. What I saw will become real. But what exactly is that decision? I did not have the exact answer, only that persistent feeling of urgency that tormented me day and night. The month of March kept appearing in my mind like a silent warning. Something was brewing, and we were heading straight toward it without even realizing it. Since that day, I have felt an immense responsibility. I must convey this message. I must warn. But will anyone listen, or will we ignore this warning until it is too late? Near-death experiences are not uncommon. Over decades, thousands of people around the world have reported similar phenomena after coming close to death. Many of these testimonies describe tunnels of light, an indescribable feeling of peace, and in some cases, even visions of the future. Some claim to have seen tragic events unfold before they occurred in the real world. What is shocking is that these accounts share common elements, even though they come from different cultures and beliefs: a feeling of urgency, a call to vigilance, and above all, a message that must be transmitted. So, what sets Maria's experience apart? Her testimony stands out for the precision of her visions. Generally, messages received in near-death experiences are symbolic, sometimes vague. But in her case, the images were clear, detailed, and most surprisingly, they contained a date: March. A specific period that seems to be the turning point in what she saw. But that is not all. Another unprecedented element in her experience was the presence of one particular world leader, Donald Trump. Why him? Why did Maria see him at the center of a crisis meeting surrounded by other influential figures? It is possible that crucial decisions are being made without the public knowing. If Maria is telling the truth, that means that very soon a key decision will be made that will define the future of the world. If other people have received similar warnings, are we ignoring messages that are being sent to us? Are these experiences more than just a cerebral phenomenon, true calls to awaken humanity? And above all, are we prepared to listen? After a near-death experience, she claims to have seen the future, an uncertain future in which humanity must make a crucial decision, a decision that, according to her, could change the course of history. Her visions speak of catastrophes, secret decisions, and of a man at the center of the storm, Donald Trump. What does this message mean? Is it a warning, a mere dream, Or is it a real sign of an event that is coming? The only thing that is clear is that Maria is convinced we must listen. And what do you think? Do you believe that near-death experiences are messages sent to humanity? Do you think that this choice she speaks of is real and that we still have time to act? Leave your opinion in the comments. We are eager to read your thoughts. If this testimony has impacted you, subscribe, leave a like, and share this video. We are at a crossroads, but we are ready to hear the truth.